You are the light of creation. Time is unbound in your hands. You set my life into motion. You see me where I stand. Spirit of my breath, Spirit of my prayers, Spirit of everything, everywhere. In my life be magnified. Spirit of mine, Spirit of mine. Your love is far beyond measure, lifting me higher each day. Darkness is part of the journey. Still you are my light and my way. Spirit of my breath, Spirit of my prayers, Spirit of everything, everywhere. In my life be magnified. Spirit of mine, Spirit of mine, Spirit of mine. Spirit of my breath, Spirit of my prayers, Spirit of everything, everywhere. In my life be magnified. Spirit of my breath, Spirit of my prayers, Spirit of everything, everywhere. In my life be magnified. Spirit of mine, Spirit of mine, Spirit of mine, Spirit of mine.
Please pray with me this morning. As we come together today in this beautiful, beautiful day that God has given us in Colorado with a beautiful sunshine, even though snow is still on the ground. So beautiful, we are so blessed. And we know coming together today in this community that we are just enjoying our time together. We are growing and learning and coming together as community, and it is so special and so very loving and so very accepting. So we know that as we, as CSL members of New Dawn, that we spread that love out everywhere we are, every place we are, every person we're with, we give that love out, and that ripples out over and over and over. So it will make our world a better place. We know this. And this is what we believe, and this is what we do. We spread that love always. So today we are thankful and grateful for this community, for each and every person who helps with putting this beautiful service together, all of our volunteers, our ushers, our technical people, our musician this morning. We love her. and Reverend Jen, of course, who gives us great messages each and every week. So, and our practitioners as well, who hold consciousness for each and every one of us, and knowing that they are always there to pray with you and pray for you. So with all of that, so much we have to be grateful for and thankful for. We are just in such deep gratitude coming together this morning that our hearts are just filled and overflowing. So as we come together today in our gratitude, we say together, and so it is. And our words are quotes from today. The first one is from Elizabeth Lesser. Deep in the center of the self are the soul cells of who you really are. Dig for them, believe in them, and offer them to another person. And you can heal each other's hearts and keep love alive forever. And from Debbie Ford, when you're in awe of someone else's greatness, you're really seeing yourself. Identify what you admire about them and then nourish those qualities in yourself. Rather than fixating on their brilliance, demonstrate your own. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, what we demonstrate today, tomorrow, and the next day is not as important as the tendency which our thought is taking the dominant attitude of our mind. If everyday things are a little better, a little happier, a little more harmonious, a little more health-giving and joyous, if each day we are expressing more life, we are going in the right direction.
It is the 5th Sunday in January. Can you believe it? I can't stand myself. It's like every day I look at the calendar and go, oh my gosh, what is happening here? This is our last Sunday for this month, and our theme for this month has been Living Everyday Wonder. And I gotta tell you, my January has been off the charts, just off the charts. And I hope that's been the way for you too. I'll talk a little bit about me because you know I always do, but we'll get to that in a minute. What I have encouraged you to do throughout this month is pay attention. Look around you. What are the little things that are going on that you might normally grumble about that you could really take some type of appreciation for or gratitude? There's this really interesting thing that's going on in my neighborhood. It's been going on for a couple of weeks. When I open we have those little centralized mailboxes. When I open my mailbox, once or twice a week, there is a little package or parcel in there that's not mine. It belongs to one of my neighbors. And this process has become contagious because then all of a sudden Amazon started bringing other people's packages to my door. And 2 days ago, UPS brought another package to my door that belonged to the guy across the street. Now, I could get grumbly about this. I could complain. I could go talk to my postman. I usually see him when he's out there. But what I decided this was doing for me was it was giving me an opportunity to connect with my neighbors. And they just love me because I show up with their packages. It's like, how cool is that? And a couple of times, you know, someone has said to me, well, don't you think you should tell somebody? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm going to see how far this goes. I'm just going to keep going with it and see what happens. Our house numbers are not the same. The names aren't the same. Whatever. So it's what's happening. So that's where I'm looking at ways to create wonder in my life. I recently took a trip to California. Many of you are aware of that. My flights out and back were perfection. Luggage showed up. Everything was fine. The people that supported me through United Airlines were wonderful, amazing. The first person I met when I got to the Denver airport to leave town was so excited to see me. And I just walked up to her randomly because I was looking for the place where I had already checked my luggage and now I just needed to give it to somebody. And she said, you know what I appreciate? I appreciate people like you who know what they're doing. And I'm thinking, boy, I pulled that one off really good because I don't know what I'm doing, but okay, because I hadn't traveled in like 3 years. So there's just so much for us to look at and be in wonder about. And today's talk title is Prove It. I didn't like that talk title when I first saw it. I thought, okay, I don't know what we were thinking with that one, but it feels kind of harsh. And then I decided it's not harsh, it's powerful. And I'm going to talk about that today with each of you. Because here's what we do. We talk a lot about theory. We talk a lot about how it could be or it might work. We talk about the science behind a lot of things. Ernest Holmes gives us this quote that says, "We only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. That which we cannot prove may or may not be true, but that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth." This philosophy was developed and called religious science. The words religious science were because Ernest Holmes went out and sought out commonalities with specific religions, with the top 7, top 10 religions, I don't know, and pulled all of these common truths. And then he started looking at the science of metaphysics. And then he began to look at science itself. And he created formulas that we teach that are provable scientifically. That's what this message is talking about right here. So what happens to us is we speak a good talk, and we say all the right words. But what we have got to do is we've got to step into that place of proof. And how can you prove it? Well, spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer, is 5 steps. And Holmes said from the very beginning, if you use these steps just this way, what you are seeking will be made manifest. I have proven that over and over and over again. So that's my encouragement to you this week and going forward, is to also take time to look at this and look at these teachings and see how you can prove them in your life. I'm not a skeptic, but I am one of those people that when I hear something new, I think, yeah, I'm going to try that for a while and we'll see what happens with it. I don't think that's skeptical. It could be. I always thought it was just kind of not really committed yet. But when it starts to work and it starts to happen, oh my gosh, I get pretty excited. Holmes says this in the Science of Mind textbook. If this were not true, this quote I just read to you, there would be no progress in any science. The sciences are objectively real to us only insofar as we demonstrate them. And until demonstrated, they are suppositional. So far as practical results are concerned, if there is any field of research where the practical application is necessary, it is in the metaphysical field. It is in the metaphysical field. The reason being that the principle of metaphysics seems less tangible to the average person than does the principle of other sciences. Let me tell you that in English, because Ernest was, he got out there a little bit sometimes. People come into our gatherings, and they think we're speaking a weird language, and they don't know what we're talking about. And they have that sense that we're airy-fairy, that we're talking, oh, just believe it, it's going to happen. There's a whole lot of work that goes underneath that, just believe it, it's going to happen. There's a whole lot of things that we have to do. There's a whole lot of steps that we have to take, and we fail to see that, and many times we fail to teach that. And we're falling short, or at least I am as a minister. If somebody walks out of this building and they're thinking, well, I don't know what those guys are, but they're way too woo-woo for me. We need to offer the practical application and teach people how to prove it to themselves. Thich Nhat Hanh, who made his transition a little over a week ago, he said, spiritual practice is not just sitting and meditating. Practice is looking, thinking, touching, drinking, eating, and talking. Every act, every breath, and every step can be practice and can help us to become more ourselves. So what's the practice that feeds your soul? What is the thing that you do that serves you, that helps you to feel more alive, more grounded, more aware of what's going on around you. This gives us an opportunity to just kind of reflect on what we're doing every day. If your spiritual mind treatments aren't being answered, there's something missing in the practice piece. God's not missing. Spirit, the divine wisdom is right here, right now, all the time. It's something that's going on in us that's causing the breakdown or the hiccup, if you want to call it that. So my oldest grandson, Tyler, just turned 27. I don't know how that, if it's even possible. I was only 10 when he was born. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, a couple years ago, he built his own business of helping people develop body strength, core body strength. Some of it was weightlifting, and some of it was kind of bodybuilding, some of it was toning, some of it was a little bit of nutritional help and support. And he came to me, it's been a ways back, and he said, Grandma, I just don't think I can do this anymore. And I said, and he's like the picture of, he's a beautiful, beautiful physique, and he competes sometimes. And I said, what do you mean you can't do this anymore? And he said, well, these people come to me, and I help them work out a plan that works for their body style and what they're looking for and their goals, and we talk all about it, and we work together, and they go away, and they come back, and they haven't done anything. And I said, wow, do they pay you? And he goes, yeah, and I go, and what's the problem? And he said, it's a reflection on me, which I was so proud of him, I almost exploded in that moment. He goes, it's a reflection on me. They're not going to get their goals that I've promised to help them get. And I said, well, they have to realize that they have to be a part of the process. And if they're not realizing that, that doesn't fall on your shoulders. But I hear where you're coming from, because he wanted all these people to kind of fall in line and do the practice, do the work. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been that person? You sign up for a gym, and you got this gym membership. Tell everybody you got this gym membership. Well, you got to go. And you got to spend a little time there. You got to put on your little tennis shoes. You know, you got to do a little bit of work there. That practice piece is really important. So I had the wonderful opportunity a little over a week ago to sit before 3 amazing ministers for my ordination panels. And it was like I walked into a room with 3 friends that I had known forever. And I never had a conversation or interacted with any one of them. They make sure that nobody knows you when you go through your panels. And we were talking for a while, and one of them finally said to me, tell us what your spiritual practices are. And I said, well, I find myself in conversation with Spirit all the time. There's always a conversation going on, and I know that being, that entity, that inner source, that higher power, that wisdom within me, that's who I'm talking to. It's part of me, but that's what's going on. I said, that's a primary one. The second one that I do every single day, almost without fail, is I read the dailies, guides in the Science of Mind magazine. I love those. It has 2 quotes, kind of gets my brain kind of connected, and then there's usually a write-up about something that they have experienced, and then there's an affirmation. Gets my day going. I start my day that way. Spiritual mind treatment, journaling, meditation. I've been doing a lot more visioning in the last, year and a half, more than I ever had. These are my spiritual practices. And then I said, and laughter. And they all looked at me for a second, and they smiled, and I said, because that's one of those things where I can completely let go. I can completely let go of whatever's going on in the moment and just go into this outrageous laughter and breathe in that energy and let those endorphins or whatever those little guys are that kick into the brain go. And I feel better. Don't you? Have you ever laughed so hard you almost cried and felt worse for it? I don't think so. I don't think it works that way. What a concept. So what I encourage each of you to do is don't listen to me. Listen to your inner wisdom and discover what serves your soul, what serves your spirit. What are those practices you can do? With Denise, I'm certain it's music. A lot of it has to do with any of the musicians that we've interacted with. We're very aware. I wish I could pick up a guitar and start singing. Well, I probably could, but it would not be a spiritually uplifting thing for me. So find out what those are and then incorporate those into your life, because that practice is really going to help you. That's really going to support you. Rashida Costa said this: words are from the lips, actions are from the heart. So this is where we get to incorporate that idea, that spiritual practice, and bring it into this heart space where it really serves us. You know, I've been teaching classes for years, and I'm so amazed when someone comes to a class like Beyond Limits is one of our first primary courses, and they start using all our language, our jargon. And yes, it's jargon, and yes, I'm aware of it. I apologize. We speak different sometimes. And they have all this language, and they're throwing this language out there, and they're using all the explanations, and they have no idea what they're talking about. But they picked up the language, and that's what this is about. It isn't coming from the lips. It's coming from the heart. When we have practitioners that come into this philosophy, and they take all of the classes, and they want to become licensed, they take a written exam to test their intelligence. Did they get the data? Did they get the knowledge, that all of the stuff we wanted them to learn? And then we sit them before a panel with a minister and 2 practitioners, and they get to panel so we can test their consciousness and their heart. Because we don't want to license a practitioner in this philosophy who hasn't absorbed the material, the information, the guidance, the task at hand within their heart. It has to be incorporated. When I decided to go into ministerial school, I got to sit before a group of people, 3 ministers, to decide if I was ready to step into ministerial school. I got to panel for that. And then I went into ministerial school, and then I graduated, and then I got to panel again to become licensed. So I haven't been up here doing this, on the slide, guys. I did have a license behind me. But so then I got to panel to get my license, and then I got to spend 3 years doing the work, walking the talk, supporting a community, and I got to panel again. And now I've achieved that amazing status, and I still can't hardly believe myself of being an ordained minister. And I want to thank you. I absolutely know that I couldn't have done it without you. I absolutely know that. I'd have gone and buried my head in the sand. I'd have been done. Here's one of the things Holmes says: it's easy enough to rush about shouting that there are no sick people, but this will never heal those who appear to be sick. It's easy to proclaim that there are no needy. Anyone can say this, whether they be wise or unwise. If we are to prove such statements to be facts in our experience, we shall be compelled to do more than announce the principle. We must live it. And that's exactly what I choose to do, and that's exactly how I choose to support this community going forward. We get to live it. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, gosh, I don't know. I don't know how to prove this. I don't know how to prove it works. I have a solution. It's called a class. Our 5 gifts class is based on 5 gifts, and the words spell out gifts: gratitude, intentions, forgiveness, tithing, and surrender. And we had a little tiny blurb from Leslie Spillman about why this class is so precious in her heart in the happenings recently. And she talked about how it just made so many changes in her life. It did the same for me. It was one of the first classes I took when I came into this philosophy. And for me, it was every single one of these, but it was also the tithing piece. Because I was in a financial disaster. I couldn't manage money to save my life. I couldn't make enough money. I couldn't get out of debt. I mean, it was just nuts. And at that time, part of the curriculum was we were asked to make a commitment that during the class, we would be willing to tithe 10% of whatever came into us. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, holy God, I don't have enough already, and now I'm going to give 10% away. How am I going to do that? Now, I just happen to be the kind of person that I might have that little wonky thought at the beginning, but then I reel myself in because I know that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it the best way I can. I'm going to do everything they tell me to do, and we'll just see. We'll see if it works. And hey, if I get to the end of the class and it's not doing any good for me, I can stop doing it because, my commitment was just for the class. That was my thinking. Changed my world. I started getting more income. I started reducing debt. I started paying attention to my relationship with money. Now, I don't have the relationship with money some people might think I should have. I'm pretty free with what I do with my money and how I spend it. But that's not the point. The point is that from the day I took that class, carried through, I have never, ever, for 1 second, said, I really need some money right now. I think I'm going to stop tithing. That hasn't been in my mindset because that was a practice that I embraced. I'm still working on the surrender. Forgiveness shows up periodically, just like it does with all of us. Gratitude and intentions, I can carry that with me all the time. But I encourage you, if you want to prove that this philosophy works, sign up for this class. I don't believe for a second you will regret it. I wanted to use a quote from Martin Luther King this morning, and I also have one from Mahatma Gandhi. And just on a side note, we're entering into the season for nonviolence. 64 days to practice nonviolence. To practice nonviolence falls right in alignment with what we're talking about. And every week in the happenings, I will be writing a little brief article, just some reminders of things that we can do to practice peace in our lives. In this particular quote, he says, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Now, we have to have that balance, right? We have to have that amazing balance that says, I'm not overdoing it, I'm not extending myself or overextending myself, but yet we're here in this life expression to care for one another, to embrace one another. We have been talking about getting a spiritual center, a building in the Aurora zip code so we can be in Aurora. It's a big deal to many of our community members. Well, Second Chance is housed in Aurora. The people and the groups that we're working with, the Aurora Mental Health, the individuals and the communities that we are gifting money to every single month to support them are in Aurora. We're already there. But what we need to do is we need to take a giant step forward and do something more. And that something more is we got to show up in Aurora. And that isn't necessarily something that looks like a church building with our name out front. I think it's more than that. And I want you to allow me to help you expand your thinking a little bit on how this can work. We get to show up at events. We get to show up at organizational gatherings that support the community. We get to show up at things that support the Season for Nonviolence and the Martin Luther King Day celebration and all of these events that are taking place in Aurora. Now, there's been some challenges. Yes, we've had some things called, what did we call that? Pandemic. Yeah, we had this pandemic, and we had to kind of stay separate from each other. But hey, there are still opportunities for us to show up as New Dawn. Maybe we need a booth. Maybe we need a table. Maybe we just need a couple T-shirts and a smile. Maybe we don't need anything at all, but just to be able to open our mouths and tell people what we represent and that we're here to support. I happen to know Pride Fest is coming up. Pride Month is coming up in a couple of months. My word for this year is expansion. And I know that it's expanding by not only bringing more people into this building or whatever building we're meeting in, but it's expanding my platform and how I reach out to people and the number of people that I reach out to. And I had an incredible experience at the conference where I got to learn about a group of people who don't even know that they're welcome here because they don't know we exist. Because when they try to show up as their authentic selves, they are judged, they are ridiculed, they are physically harmed. We have got to take a stand for them. We can't open the door and expect them to walk through the door. I'd be scared too. We have to get out there and let them know that however you are showing up on this planet, whatever your expression is, whatever your experience is, however you choose to dress, who you want to date, who you want to sleep with, whatever you want to do, it's okay. Because we are an inclusive community. We include all people. And if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't stand up here every week and say everyone is welcome here. Because it wouldn't be true. So we have work to do. And I know Kindred Spirits is going to be right there alongside of me and any one of us who wants to get out there and put up a table somewhere or a booth or whatever. But I can't find out about everything. So one of the reasons I'm mentioning this today is if you hear about something coming up that I need to be at, let me know. Let me know so I can show up too. Because I believe that this is how we change the world. Mahatma Gandhi said, "An ounce of practice is worth more than tons of preaching." I'm not a preacher. I'm not preaching. I'm reminding. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what I know to be the truth, and then you get to take it and do whatever you want to do with it. Practice. You go home and practice these teachings and see how it can impact your life, how it can impact the people in your life. Sometimes we have a relationship with someone who is just a pain in the U-haul, whatever you want to call it, in the behind. I can say that word. And we can't hardly tolerate them. And we get so frustrated and we get so aggravated and we think, why can't they change? And as soon as we step into our practice and we start to change, the experience of who we are and the relationship with that individual also changes. That's how we change planet Earth. That's how we make it a better world for everyone. So this week I encourage you to do some research, formulate a hypothesis, develop a method, come up with some lab work, things that you want to work on. What are the things in your life you want to work on? Identify one or two and then narrow it down. Collect the data, analyze the results. Ask yourself what you discovered. Ask yourself what you could do differently. Ask yourself how you could expand upon it. Lean into your findings. Allow yourself to be transformed. No one of you can consider that it's too late to do this. It is the exact, perfect timing for all of this. I'm living in the question every day. What more can I be? How can I show up? Where do I need to be? Who do I need to interact with? These are important questions for each of us. So this week, let's prove it. Let's just prove it. Let's prove how valuable practice can be and see what can come forth from that. And actually live the teachings at a deeper level than maybe we have before. I invite you to join me as we go this path together. Please pray with me. Practitioners, please stand. So as we lift up the consciousness in this room, as we hold the high vibration for every single person who is here and in our online presence, we do so knowing right now, right here, in this moment, that Spirit is present. That there is one God, that this one God is permeating all life. It is behind all things. It is all-knowing, all-seeing, and it is here now, living within each and every one of us. How blessed that feels. How incredibly grateful I am to know this truth. That the God in me expresses with the God in everyone else. And that each and every one of us can find that one place, that one idea, that one conversation where we can connect. Where we can connect in love, in peace, and compassion. How beautiful. How grateful I am. And so I just send blessings out from this place all over the world to all people, and those who are seeking truth, may they find it, and those who are needing to be fed, may we feed them. And those who are needing to be clothed, may we step forward and clothe them. May we bring comfort to those who are suffering so that we can ease that suffering. That is ours to do. And so I give thanks. I give great thanks for these teachings. I give great thanks for the absolute privilege to be able to speak these words and know that they are heard by divine wisdom. So we just breathe that in. And we just let it go and we let it be, knowing that as we release these words today, they go out into the universe and they begin to manifest. And we just simply say yes to all of it. Knowing it's good, knowing it's perfect, knowing it's all God. We let it go and we let it be. And so it is.
Running till my bones are aching, pushing past the point of breaking. The road is long, but I will make it, that's who I am. It's not this race, but how I'm running, not who I was, who I'm becoming. Steady on, I'll finish strong on this path. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Every breath in me proclaims hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Today, with every mile, I'm reminded I never go empty-handed. God is my strength. I'm never stranded. I'm not alone. Calling out like a siren of good and peace and joy resounding. Hear me now. I'm ringing out around the world. In every song I sing, in every part of me, in everything. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Every breath in me proclaims hallelujah. today.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.